Hey everyone, welcome back to the Money Girl podcast, where my mission is to help you live rich and love the journey. My name is Laura Adams. I've been hosting this show since 2008, and I'm also the author of a brand new book. It's called Money Smart Solopreneur, a personal finance system for freelancers, entrepreneurs, and side hustlers. You can order the paperback or the ebook or even pre-order the audiobook. The audiobook officially launches very soon on December 8th. So if you pre-order, it will be on its way within it's hard to believe, about a week from now. I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving if you were celebrating the holiday last year and had a little bit of downtime to just relax. And if you're like most people, you will definitely be thrilled to have 2020 in the rearview mirror. The emotional, physical, and perhaps financial challenges of life during a pandemic have taken a toll on all of us in varying degrees. As this challenging year comes to a close, I think it's more important than ever to create some smart personal finance goals going forward. Times of uncertainty or crisis can be a really good opportunity just to reevaluate where you are, think about your priorities, and get a fresh financial start. So this show will help you set better money goals that are also easier to keep and crush in 2021. As always, you'll find the notes for this and every show in the Money Girl section at quickanddirtytips.com. This is episode number 662, called 5 Tips to Set Better Money Goals for 2021. If goal setting is new to you and you've never created any money goals, you're definitely not alone. I think it can feel overwhelming because there's probably a lot that you want to accomplish with your money. Setting priorities and improving your financial life really comes down to 3 fundamental steps. It's understanding where you are now, understanding your current financial situation, knowing what you want your financial situation to be, either in the short term or long term, and then bridging the gap between the two. What are the tactics that you're going to do to actually make sure that you can accomplish those short and long-term goals? So the first step is to get organized and assess the state of your financial life. And this can be daunting for a lot of people who maybe don't want to face what's going on with their finances right now. But it's important. You really need a big picture view of where you are today in order to create a realistic and overarching financial plan for your life. Then you've got to be clear about what you want to do or what you want to create with your money. Then it's essential to dream, to really let your mind wander into thinking about what are your values, what goals would make you and your family happy. And, I encourage you to dream big, really think about what's most important to you. And the last part that I mentioned, bridging the gap between where you are and where you want to be, that's the process of determining how to actually manage your money, kind of getting in the nitty-gritty so that you can achieve your goals. So we're going to talk about 5 steps to get a holistic view of your finances, set your goals, and accomplish them on time. So the first tip I recommend is to create or update your personal financial statement, or PFS. If you're a regular Money Girl reader or podcast listener, you've probably heard me talk about a personal financial statement before. I recommend using this as the cornerstone of your financial plan. It's just a critical tool that will help you get organized and gauge your financial health. Then you can look at it going forward on a regular basis and see where you're trending. You can do this on paper, kind of old school, or you can do it in a software program or a computer spreadsheet. Creating your PFS is just figuring your net worth. And it's not difficult. It just takes a little time to gather and accurately record all of your information. So every time that you update your PFS, you're calculating your net worth. And then the definition of net worth is pretty straightforward. It's your assets minus your liabilities. Assets are things you own that have value, and liabilities are the debts that you owe. So when you subtract your total liabilities from your total debts, you have figured your net worth, and you've got a baseline to measure your future progress. And simply going through this exercise will be enlightening for a lot of people. And if your net worth is negative right now, or maybe it slides down during tough financial times, don't panic. What happens over several years is really more important than a temporary setback. To give yourself a financial checkup and just begin your planning process each year, I recommend that you recalculate your net worth. Just make it part of your annual process and evaluate ways to increase it by boosting your assets, such as your savings and your investments, and reducing your debts, such as credit cards and loans. And I've got a tool that you can use to help you do this. I've created a free personal financial statement workbook. And if you'd like to get it, you can send me a text message right now. Text the phrase net worth, NETWORTH, one word, all one phrase. Send that to the number 33444. You can use this free workbook to keep tabs on your net worth and make better decisions for your future. All right, after you have created your personal financial statement, the second tip I have for setting better goals is to envision the future you. When you're setting goals, a useful exercise is to imagine your life in the future. Imagine your life 5 years from now, like to the day. What are you doing? Where are you living? How are you spending your time? Who are you with? In 5 years, what would you be proud to say that you had accomplished between now and then? And then stretch your imagination out farther and do the same for your life in 10 years or 20 years. Then imagine you're on your deathbed with just a few hours left to live. What accomplishments would make you feel good about yourself even in your final hours of life? I mean, these types of really big picture questions can put your values and your priorities front and center. Another approach is to consider what about your financial life has been disappointing or what's worried you the most. You can use those worries or those concerns to consider what needs to change so that you've got more security and less stress next year. These questions can give you essential information about yourself and inspire you to plan and set some goals that truly matter to you and your family. And I've got another free resource that can help you do this. It's called the Financial Planning Workbook. I would recommend that you download this and set aside at least 30 minutes to complete it. To get the workbook, you can just text the word money plan or the phrase money plan with no space to that same number, 33444. If you've got a spouse or a partner who shares your financial life or your goals, I really recommend that you review this workbook together. Go through the planning questions together. They will prompt you to ask yourself key questions and to take some time to answer them as thoughtfully as possible. All right, my third tip is know where your money is going. So after analyzing the big picture of your finances and considering what you want to accomplish, it's time to zoom into the details. You cannot change or improve what you don't measure. So that's why having a spending plan, or maybe you want to call it a budget, is critical. Those two are really the same thing. I think calling it a spending plan sounds a little bit better than a budget for a lot of people. And if you've never created a budget or a spending plan, try some tools that can make it a little easier. Mint is one of them. This is a free app that links up with your financial account so that you can categorize transactions and set a budget. Quicken is another great option. I use Quicken. It's a bit more robust than Mint. It allows you to budget, create reports, track investments, pay bills, and do a lot of advanced functions. Maybe for 2021, one of your goals should be using a good financial tool. These types of tools can make tracking your finances and your budget a dream. So I would encourage you to check them out. Many of them are either free or they've got, free trials that you can use to figure out if it's the right one for you. And if you don't enjoy monitoring your cash flow by specific categories, another technique is known as the 50-30-20 spending plan. With this approach, you lump various expenses into one of three categories. You've got fixed expenses, variable expenses, and savings. The idea is that you spend the bulk of it, the 50% of your take-home pay, that's going to go toward your fixed expenses. These might be housing, food, transportation, insurance, and debt payments. These are necessities, and they may or may not be exactly the same amount every month, but they are your everyday living expenses that you cannot do without. Then the next category of variable expenses you might spend 30% of your budget on. These are things that you can live without, maybe dining out, entertainment, new clothes. These are the nice to have items, but not essential. And the remaining 20% would go towards savings or building an emergency fund or your retirement account. If this simple technique can help you get started with a spending plan and to watch your cash flow a little bit more closely, it's a win. Then later on, you can refine it if you want to track specific things more closely, such as exactly how much you're spending on books, alcohol, or shoes. All right, my fourth tip for creating better goals next year is to build your goals into your spending plan. Once you see how money is moving in and out of your hands, you're going to know what has to change in order for you to meet the goals that you set. For example, if one of your goals is to max out a Roth IRA in 2021, you can break it down into 12 monthly contributions of $500 for a total of $6,000, which, by the way, is the maximum you can contribute next year. Adding goals into your spending plan is going to force you, in probably most cases, to cut spending in certain categories. Maybe you realize you've just got to cut back in the entertainment category or the eating out category. Or you may realize that you need to earn more money by asking for a raise at work, getting a better paying job, or even starting a side gig for an extra stream of income. If you don't shape your spending plan to account for your living expenses and your financial goals, they're just not going to happen. So definitely build your goals, short-term and long-term goals, into your budgeting process. And my last tip, number 5 for better goals, is to automate your money goals. Once you create financial goals, you've got to protect them. And one really great way to do that is to use automation. And there are a variety of ways that you can put your money goals on autopilot. One of them is to participate in a retirement plan at work. It could be a 401k, a 403b, maybe a 457 plan. These are so great because they automatically deduct your elected contributions from your paycheck before you ever see the money and are tempted to spend it. That's one reason why these workplace plans are so successful. The automation really makes sure that you're going to succeed. Another option is to use what's called escalation. This is offered by most retirement accounts to automatically increase your elected contribution by 1%, maybe even up to 10% each year. For example, you could set it to raise your elected contribution rate by 2% at the beginning of each year. In many cases, the default setting is a 1% escalation that you must opt out to avoid. But these escalation features are really great. And, if you find that you can't meet them, you can always back down your contributions later on. But I would encourage you to increase your contribution rate for retirement each year. You want to maintain the highest annual escalation possible. And if you receive an annual raise or a cost of living adjustment, saving a little more for your retirement probably will not be a strain on your budget. You'll adjust pretty quickly. All right, another way to automate is to set up recurring transfers from your bank account to a traditional or a Roth IRA. If you don't have a retirement plan at work, or maybe you're self-employed, using an IRA is a terrific way to achieve your goals. You might open a 529 college savings plan for future college expenses for yourself or a family member. You might have a portion of your paycheck, your benefits, or even a tax refund that you expect sent directly to a bank savings account. That's a great way to build up your emergency fund or save for something like a vacation or holiday gifts. No matter if you want to be a homeowner, pay for college for your children, build a larger emergency fund, identifying what you're working for really boosts your motivation to achieve those goals. Having a realistic plan to turn your dreams into realities will go a long way toward making you feel more secure no matter what's happening in the world. So take some time this month as you think about your resolutions for next year to really create some good money goals that you can stick to in 2021. If you have a money question or a comment about the show, I would love to hear from you. One option is to leave a voice message by calling 302-364-0308. Another option is to visit lauradadams.com and send me an email using my contact page on the site. That's all for now. I'll talk to you next week. Until then, here's to living a richer life. Money Girl is produced by the audio wizard, Steve Rickyberg, with editorial support from Karen Hertzberg. If you've been enjoying the podcast, please take a moment to rate and review it on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. That helps new listeners find us and know what the show is all about. You might also like the backlist episodes and show notes that are always available at quickanddirtytips.com.